you.
Does that make sense, the intro, when I'm saying that the way how you've looked at this relationship is from a very unique perspective?
Yes, I think you used the word puzzle, and for me it was about a puzzle of puzzling the different characters together and also the concept together, because the whole idea of motherhood going very graphically and distressingly wrong is such a puzzle to me, because I'm a very dedicated mother, and I can't understand a mother who would go onto the other end of the spectrum, and that's how I started the book, was how could a mother go that wrong? And also in the recognition that all mothers have difficulties on certain days, being a mother. Fathers too, but this is from the perspective of a mother mostly.
Let's clue our viewers in very quickly. Give us a brief synopsis of Shadow Self.
I don't want to give the whole story away, so I won't say. What I'll say is that it opens up with Thea, who's the main character. She's in court for a very terrible crime, and the story basically traces back the time period before this and how she comes to commit this crime and what the reason for this crime is. But the crime is to do with motherhood and being a mother.
Why is Thea so messed up, Paula? She's messed up.
She is. Well, I think that she comes from a very difficult background for a start. I think she just suffers generally. You get people that are, roller coasters emotionally, and she is like that. I think she just struggles to find out who she really is. I think she really battles. Some people find out who they are really early, and I admire people like that. But, some people only discover who they really are when they're 50 or when they're 30. So I think for her, it's a lifelong journey trying to work out who she is. And she doesn't have any confidence, which doesn't help her in this journey.
And Thea is juxtaposed to Sanusha, who seems to be a lot more innocent and these two characters are just...
Well, Sanusha is her complete polar opposite, I think. Sanusha also says exactly what she thinks. She doesn't care. She's extremely bright, much brighter than her mother. And, she's not particularly academic, but she doesn't need to be, because she will achieve whatever she does. She's also... she's a complete rebel. So she rebels against society all the time, whereas Thea's much more, although she's the one who commits the crime in the end, she's much more law-abiding, much more within her own shell, whereas Sanusha will do whatever she likes, because she doesn't respect people generally, I think.
And you create an interesting scenario here, because not only do we see Thea's perspective, but we experience Sanusha's perspective, and then the husband Clayton's perspective.
Yes.
It's all different. And why that approach?
I really wanted to look at insanity from an insane person's perspective as well as from a sane person's perspective. So you have your, relatively sane, everyone is sane to a certain degree, Sanusha and Clay probably being the most normal of the three. And then you have, you have going to Thea's mind, and she's lost it, most of the time. She does have her stages of normality, and then you suddenly see this inches of clarity when she's swimming, goes to rescue her son when she thinks he's not enjoying his swimming. She jumps in the pool to go and be his mom, and everyone looks at her thinking, is this woman insane? But she thinks that's the perfectly normal thing to do for a mother to dive in during a swimming lesson with all her clothes on. That's the sort of thing she'll do, and she'll think that's perfectly normal. So there are inches of, but that's the love side of her. So she is a very loving mother. But it's the whole idea of insanity versus sanity.
And also how people
sanity?
see you,
Yes.
What's normal to you is not normal to anybody else.
When Sanusha comes home and her mom's sitting on the couch and she hasn't changed positions since she left that morning, you have to wonder what's going on in that head. So it's a way of being able to head hop without head hopping between paragraphs, which I find very disconcerting.
How difficult is it to, obviously you're the creator,
yes.
How difficult is it to get the nuances just right because it's almost from Sanusha's it's her perspective, but you need to reflect her age. You need to reflect Clayton's perspective, his age, he's a man. And one of the things before we started this conversation was saying that men generally speak in shorter sentences.
Yes, well I'd have to say I do quite a lot of eavesdropping. So I listen to people's conversations, not so much about what they're saying, but how they say it. I've got children of my own, so children's voices I find easier to capture because I listen to my children, obviously for what they're saying as well, but also for the way they say it. And the nuances were definitely there from the beginning, but a lot of it comes in the editing process. So I wrote the whole book in about a year and 2 months or so, a little bit extra with the research, and then it took me at least 8-9 months to do the editing, and that's when you really fix the nuances.
Refine it.
Because you may have an expression that the one character uses that the other character is also using, and it's a very unusual expression that will never happen. So people don't use the same expressions all the time. They don't swear in the same way.
Is there a Thea in your life, or parts of a Thea in your life? Somebody
Well,
who
I
has...
suffered from postnatal distress after the birth of my second child, so I suppose there's a little bit of Thea in me, in the sense that, when she went to the fridge, she couldn't decide what to choose. I had that same issue. But she's the extreme version of most people, I think, if they're really feeling miserable. So there's a little bit of Thea in me. I mean, she's a language student. I speak French fluently, so there's that side of her in me. I used to be a tour operator.
Okay.
So maybe more from her career than from her personality. Yeah.
Final question. Why is this such a compelling read? I mean, there's something fascinating about somebody deconstructing in the norm that I think just keeps us turning the page.
Well, I hope it's an interesting story, but I hope you get caught in with the characters. And a lot of people have said, oh, they loved Tanusha, they loved the fact that she loved numbers, or they loved Clay and he was so romantic. I think it's a story, it's a universal story of motherhood. I think it doesn't necessarily just apply to Santon, Khayelitsha, Russia, wherever. I think it's a story about motherhood, daughterhood, relationships, and how things can go wrong.
Paula, we're going to leave it there, but thank you very much for joining me. That is Cape Town-based author Paula Maria with her offering Shadow Self. It's a good read. Great. Get it for your friends and your family. Could be an interesting discussing point around dinner. Go and get it. It's available at all good bookstores. Yesterday, if you've missed it,